welcome to Good Game Spawn Point, the show for gamers by gamers. I'm Bajo.
And I'm Hex.
And I am D.A.R.R.E.N, and it's our 201st episode. Celebrate good games. Come on!
Hang on a second, Darren. We celebrated our 200th episode last week. We don't need to celebrate 201.
Yeah, it's a little bit soon. I'm still recovering from all that cake that we ate.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, you two. It's a 201 party.
Right, but we can celebrate two big games to review, such as Forza Horizon 2.
And the goal-scoring action of FIFA 15.
Oh! It's good! Oh, but before all of that, boot up your brain cells because it's time for D.A.R.R.E.N's challenge! This week, I'm asking you, who is Phoenix Wright's longtime courtroom rival?
Oh, I want to have a guess at this one. Is it...
Objection! Answer at the end of the show.
Right, well, now here's Goose with the news.
And more news. Thanks, guys. Goose here with all the gaming news from around the world. Nintendo has just celebrated its 125th birthday. Founded as a trading card company in 1889, Nintendo did not move into the home electronics industry until the 1970s. Since then, they've gone on to become a cornerstone of the video game industry, creating a host of iconic games and characters that we know and love. Happy birthday, Nintendo! A fully operational car has been built using a 3D printer. American printing company Local Motors is claiming to be the first to manufacture both a body and chassis using 3D printing technology. The vehicle, dubbed Strati, was created in under 44 hours using a mixture of plastic and carbon fiber. The resulting product is claimed to be both lighter and stronger than traditional metal domestic vehicles. It looks so cute, it's like a little toy car. And that's all the news for this week. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Goose.
Okay, Hex, are you ready to grip the wheel and put the pedal to the metal?
Sure am, Bajo. I'm revved up and ready to go.
Negative.
What are you talking about, Darren?
I'm the only one here with a professional race car driver's license, so clearly I'm the only one qualified to properly put Forza Horizon 2 through its paces. With a little bit of help from Goose, of course.
Oh, Darren.
Oh, could you help me take this hat off? I've got another outfit to get into. Well, if you'll excuse me, there's rubber to burn! See you soon!
He just took over the review. He just took over the Forza review.
Party hat? I'm sure he'll do a really great
I
job.
wanted to review Forza Horizon 2.
You can still play the game.
Oh, let's face it, Darren, we're lost.
Au contraire, Goose. My GPS says we're exactly where we need to be.
I can't even read the road signs. They're not in English, Darren.
Oh, I'll translate for you. Oh, we're supposed to turn left here.
Oh, hang on!
Whoa!
Tonight, welcome to Horizon.
The original Forza Horizon is a spin-off from the Forza Motorsport series. It focused more on open-world arcadey racing around a fictional Horizon festival. This sequel opens up the world even more as the festival now takes place in southern Europe, where you can explore the beautiful countryside of both Italy and France. And it really feels like the next step for open-world races, don't you think, Darren?
Oh, oui, Goose. This is a remarkable racer for many reasons, which we'll get into. But first, it's important to point out that we reviewed this on Xbox One. The 360 version has a different lead developer, and no doubt will be quite different.
You begin the game by going on a road trip. It's not a race exactly, just a way for you to move through the game from one point to another to begin a championship in another location. And this sets up the theme for Horizon 2, blissful open-world cruising.
Oui! There's nothing like jumping in a muscle car and thrashing donuts through a vineyard!
But of course, this is all about the racing. There are plenty of events, from your standard grid races, to off-road circuits, to terrifying night tracks where you can't see much at all. There's even some wacky events to mix things up, like trying to beat jets or a train. And I quite like these silly little races, Darren.
Oui, they do add to the variety of it all, but technically they are just time trials, as you don't really interact with the train or jets.
Yes, but it is exciting to see them whiz past.
There are a few ways to increase your collection of cars. You can simply buy them, and they're priced quite reasonably with the in-game currency.
And it's nice that there are no more of those pesky microtransactions from Forza 5.
Ugh, they were très horrible.
Ooh, good pronunciation. I also really like that you can find old beat-up cars in the barn finds. Every now and then you get a tip that there's an abandoned car in a certain area, and it's up to you to find it. Then once it's fixed up, you can take it for a ride. I especially like the old combi, Darren.
Oh, of course you would, Goose. Apparently there are over 200 cars to collect, and the detail is magnifique. Mwah!
Oh yes, I don't think I've ever seen cars look this good in a video game, Darren. The interiors are gorgeous and you can see so many reflections on the hood and around the car, even the hubcaps. Plus, when it rains, slight speckles of water appear on your bonnet. And it runs impressively smooth too.
It's quite an achievement to have so much detail moving at such high speeds without any kind of frame rate issues. Colour me impressed.
You really get the feeling the developers have taken it up a gear with all that new power in the console. Each time I'd look off to the horizon and see those mountains shimmering in the distance, and the sunsets and the storm clouds, I just felt like I was there, Darren.
We are there, Goose. This is also helped by the sophisticated physics engine behind the game. In fact, it's updating 365 times a second. So many processes. This means you feel every bump and traction change. The road will get noticeably slippery when there's a bit of light rain. Dirt and tarmac all have their own distinct feel too, so as you go off-road in a race, it's important to adjust your driving style to suit.
The best part is nothing in this game is too punishing. A slight bump with another car won't cause a big crash, and you're constantly being rewarded with XP for just about everything you do. If you have a Kinect, you can even talk to the GPS, which is very useful if you are stuck on what to do next.
In 200 meters, turn right.
And this is great because initially that championship system is a bit overwhelming.
Oui. I had many a good chat with the GPS, Anna. We struck up quite a rapport. Oh, there are plenty of assist options too. So if you're new to racing games, you can turn on braking and steering control and adjust driver difficulty until you find a setting that works for you. But if you're an old school drifter, such as myself, you can turn off all the assists and give yourself a true challenge. Drifting my car, spinning the tires.
Maybe you should just leave the assists on for now, Darren. All in all, this is a really fun racer and probably one of the best looking ones we've seen in a long while. This is all magnified when you take the game online and start roaming around with your friends, challenging them to jumps and just hanging out in fancy cars. I had a great time here, Darren, so I'm giving it 9 out of 10 rubber chickens. Et toi?
Oh, I'm giving it a 9 as well. But we've got to get back in time for the Darren report. Floor it, Goose!
Whoa! Goosey! Watch out!
Hello, and welcome to the Darren report.
Thank you.
Today, we're going to tackle the real-world trend of simulating reality through simulation video games. As a genre, simulation games set out to accurately depict aspects of reality in digital form. This branches into a wide variety of subgenres, including sports games, city builders, taking care of pets and people, and vehicle sims, among many others. Simulation games have been around for a long time, traditionally being used for training purposes. Pilots and astronauts used digital flight simulators in the 1960s to help them hone their skills and prepare for dangerous missions. These simulation machines were so successful as training implements that their modern successors are still in use today. But simulation didn't truly find a home in the gaming world until the 1980s, where the likes of Little Computer People for the Commodore 64 captivated audiences, allowing them to type commands to virtual characters. Then, in 1989, the original SimCity gave gamers the chance to craft their own megacities! In recent years, gamers have developed a curious interest in low-budget simulators, particularly ones involving vehicles like trucks, buses and trains. While these games may be technically sound, gamers who are used to fast-paced, story-driven action seem to revel in the absurdity of their relative monotony, if only for a brief moment. Joke or not, the current popularity of these cheap simulation games could mean the appearance of higher budget and better polished sims in the future. And that's a wrap for the Darren report. No, don't waste energy by hoarding. This week we've installed a mechanised robot clapping system that will simulate the cheerful ovation for me. Hit it, Kerry! That
That's good. Perhaps more vuvuzela. Yes, that's nice. Oh, back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Darren. All right, lots of questions to get through today, Bajo. First up, we've got this one from Carmen, who is in Brisbane, Queensland. Dear GGSP, I've got 5 questions for you. 1. What was the first game console ever made? 2. What was the first game ever made with Mario in it? 3. What was the first game ever made with Sonic in it? 4. What does D.A.R.R.E.N stand for? 5. What game would be 10 out of 10? Thanks, from Carmen. P.S. What is Animal Crossing New Leaf out of 10? P.P.S. I think your show is totally awesome. Aw, thanks, Carmen. You're totally awesome. That's a lot of questions, though, so should we just power through them, Bajo?
Yes, good idea, Hex. The first console ever made? Oh, Hex, I remember it like it was 42 years ago.
Yes, and that's because the first ever home console was released in 1972, the Magnavox Odyssey. It wasn't a powerful machine. In fact, it only had enough power to render 2 simple paddles, a ball, and a line.
It also couldn't produce sound, which may seem pretty substandard now, but for its time, this was a revolutionary device. Now, about the first game with Mario in it.
Well, that's a tricky one because the first game to ever feature Mario, as he is known and loved today, was in the 1982 arcade game Donkey Kong Jr. And it's also the only game in which Mario is the bad guy as he attempts to stop Kong Jr. from rescuing his imprisoned father.
Indeed, but of course Mario did appear a year earlier in the 1981 arcade game Donkey Kong. It's just that he wasn't called Mario yet. In this game, he went by the name Jumpman. He's technically the same character, but hadn't been given his proper name yet.
That's very interesting, isn't it? As for Sonic's first game...
Oh, Hex, I got this one. Okay, Sonic appeared in 1991 for the first time on the Sega Mega Drive in a game called Sonic the Hedgehog. It was, and still is, the greatest game of all time, maybe next to Sonic the Hedgehog 2. There, I said it.
Well, there you have it. Okay, we've got the next one, which is, what does D.A.R.R.E.N stand for? Well, you see, it's an acronym. It stands for the... hello? Hex speaking?
Hello, Hex. D.A.R.R.E.N is an acronym that stands for Data Analyzing Robot for the Ruthless Extermination of Noobs.
Yeah, thanks, Darren.
Oh, my pleasure, Hex. Goodbye.
It's kind of like he's always listening to us, watching us or something. Anyway, next, Carmen wanted to know what game would be 10 out of 10.
Oh, well, we've given double 10s to a select few games over the years. To achieve a perfect score, a game needs to be really well made, have a good, strong story, and have innovative elements that raise the bar for its genre.
I think the last game to get double 10s was actually Portal 2.
Oh, it's you.
You know her?
It's been a long time.
Now, as for Animal Crossing New Leaf, Carmen, I thought it was pretty great fun, but I didn't like having to work around a specific schedule to go to events, so I gave it 7.5 rubber chickens, which is still a good score.
I actually fell in love with my little town and all the villages, and I remember I gave it 8.5 rubber chickens. Well, moving right along to this question from Mrs. Future, who is in the Future Undergroundment in the ACT.
From the future and underground.
Yeah, undergroundment.
Underground mint. What's an underground
It's
mint?
just a super hip and happening place that's heaps underground.
Right. Oh, I see. Okay.
Where all the hipsters hang out.
Right. So that's where Goose comes from.
Probably.
From the future. Underground mint hipster place. It's a bit confusing.
Say these in a computer voice like GLaDOS. Hi, GGSP. I am Mrs. Future. I would like you to answer this question. Firstly, I would like to know what our fourth wall breaks are. Secondly, how can you make video games without using Scratch? Thirdly, is there a viral game that humans can take care of robots? 4. Can you report other gaming urban legend because my child like it and want to see more? 5. Have you seen a robot that escaped the future, that is silver metal, loves the past and has a robtic male voice? If you see him, please contact Mrs. Future. Goodbye, presents.
Well, Mrs. Future, firstly, it's going to be Darren who's going to be going on about stuff, as usual. Hello, Bajo speaking.
Hello, Bajo.
It is
I
Darren.
couldn't help but overhear the question about breaking the fourth wall. I did attend the Robotic Academy of Dramatic Art, after all. I think I might be able to help.
Help away, Darren.
Well, Mrs. Future, I assume you mean breaking the fourth wall as a term generally used in theatre, TV, film, or even games. The fourth wall is actually an imaginary barrier between the work of fiction and its audience. The term comes from modern theatre, where there are usually three walls, the two sides and the back, and the fourth wall would be the imaginary one between the stage and the audience. And to break the fourth wall is to actually directly communicate with your audience during the show. In TV and film, this can also happen when characters speak to or respond to the camera directly. And in games, it usually happens when a character openly acknowledges that they're in a video game.
So, wait, Darren, does that mean every time we speak to the spawnlings directly through the camera, that's breaking the fourth wall? Whoa!
Well, essentially, yes, Hex, but because Good Game Spawn Point is not a work of fiction, well, most of it anyway, it's not seen as really breaking the fourth wall.
But if someone acknowledges the camera, say in Totally Incompatible, for example, then wouldn't that be breaking the fourth wall?
Oh, indeed, Bajo. It's actually a technique of metafiction
Okay,
to
Darren.
break down
Darren.
boundaries
Okay, thanks,
between-
Darren.
I think it was delving into a kind of drama theory lesson there. Good job on the hang-up.
Yes, indeed. Moving on, you can definitely make games without using Scratch, Mrs. Future. In fact, Goose and D.A.R.R.E.N actually reviewed a couple of other game-making tools for the show. If I can remember correctly, there was Codia for iOS and Game Maker for the PC.
Yes, both are a little bit more complex than Scratch because they go more in depth into the code, but there are also some other great options that you can access online, such as Tinker and Kodu, and if you're needing a challenge, Alice is great if you want to leap into 3D game design.
As for a game with humans taking care of robots, I can't think of any off the top of my head, Hex.
Yeah, no, neither can I. But there's RoboCraft, which you build your own robots in and fight them in an MMO arena. That's pretty cool. I guess essentially you as a human are taking care of the robot that you've built, so...
I think it works. And there are other games like Machinarium and Tetrabot & Co., where you guide your little robot through various platforming levels. I guess that kind of counts as taking care of a robot, but we will keep an eye out for you, Mrs. Future, for any upcoming robot nurturing games.
As for more gaming urban legends, well, that's really a Darren thing, I guess.
His timing is impeccable, Hex. Hello, this is Bajo speaking. Go ahead.
Hello, Bajo. I just wanted to inform Mrs. Future that there will be future gaming urban legends. I have an entire filing cabinet full of them here. However, I will need to cross-check and fact-check these claims, so it might take a bit of time. I wouldn't want Media Watch on my shiny chrome case.
Indeed, Darren. You should definitely always get the facts right.
Affirmative. Well, back to more fact-checking. Goodbye.
Bye, Darren. Bye. Okay, lastly, have we seen a robot that is silver metal, loves the past, and has a robotic male voice? Well, I think you might mean Darren the robot.
Did Darren escape from the future, Bajo?
Or maybe he is a Time Lord, Hex.
Speaking of time, we've actually run out of it again. So remember, if you've got a question that you'd like us to answer, then you can go here and send it in. Back to the studio.
You know, I always worry that Darren will go back into the past and change something, and so that we will all be in the present, but we'll be changed somehow. Like we'll be horses. Like you'll have a horse's head, but a lizard's body.
Oh, like the butterfly effect. He's
Yeah.
changed the course of evolution, and
Yeah.
then I have a horse head.
Yeah, and you'd be called Horsehead Hex.
What? That wouldn't be mine. Wouldn't be called that.
Sounds good. Sometimes all it takes to unite the world is a little round ball.
Ole, ole, ole. Soccer.
FIFA is one of those games that's released every single year, so on the surface it may not look that different, but there are usually lots of little changes that can really make or break the feel.
Indeed, and this year is one of consolidation, because FIFA 15 has all the best bits from FIFA 13 and FIFA 14 with a whole new sheen.
While also available on last-gen systems, this game was built foremost for the PS4 and Xbox One, and this year's game has next-gen quality to its visuals, with better-than-ever player likenesses, more impressive weather effects, and some improved player animations. The game also finally includes all 20 English Premier League stadia for maximum authenticity.
And Darren, don't forget the most important new feature, next-gen grass. Oh, look at it, it's so pointy.
It actually looks a bit too long when you see it close up, like the groundsman forgot to mow it or something.
Yeah, like a giant pincushion. There are some nice details, though. I like how players get a bit muddy late in a game, and the way they present the highlights now looks really nice. As for that FIFA feel, well, it feels good. In fact, I think this is the best artificial intelligence in a FIFA game in years. There's a great flow to the game as you pass the ball around and try to break through the defence for a shot on goal.
In at goal, in with a chance.
The goalies have definitely been improved over past FIFAs. There's a wider variety of reactions from them now that really helps to make the game feel less predictable.
Cahill, great header, great save.
Sometimes they even make terrible fumbles.
Oh! Oh no, the last thing he wanted. It's a total calamity. Just seemed to lose his bearings completely.
Mishaps in front of the goal make a game so much more fun anyway.
Ultimate Team makes a return along with new co-op seasons and friendlies. There are a lot of options to play, as always. The skill challenges have been improved too, with a more balanced set of mini-games that will teach you some advanced controls.
They're really fun. In general, though, I found it harder to score goals than FIFA 15, but that made me enjoy the challenge of trying to score one even more.
It's a real chance. I say a cracker.
It seems more realistic to me that you have to work harder for it, and yet sometimes you can just get lucky.
Strong runner with the ball. It's a genuine chance. A goal for Brazil.
You definitely have to charge up your shots a little more now to get the right amount of power.
Yeah, it took me a little while to adjust to that. I'm used to FIFA feeling a little bit more arcadey. Did you start a custom player career, Bajo?
Naturally. Bajo is an incredibly handsome striker for Sydney FC. And I scored 2 goals on my debut.
Hooray!
Oh, awesome superstar, Bajo.
I started a goalkeeping career. You shall not pass! Negative!
Oh, I'm sorry, Darren. I'm sure you just need to increase his stats a little bit. I also learned something while playing this FIFA. India has its very own national football team. I never knew that.
Football is the world game, Hex.
One of the only things that really bothered me about this FIFA is that the player animations are sometimes really jarring, especially when they switch between different emotions in close-ups. They just look a bit robotic.
Isn't that wonderful?
But if it was robot football, then yes, that would be wonderful, Darren. But this is human football, and they need to look like humans. And I don't know, it just pulled me out of the illusion of a TV broadcast.
Yeah, I noticed a little bit of graphical weirdness here and there too. Players sometimes move through each other, which is super creepy, and there's still a bit of a jaggy, fuzzy look to them at times. I mean, I understand that on last gen, but not here.
Overall, though, I'm super excited about this FIFA. I think it might actually be the best FIFA since FIFA 10. I'm giving it 9 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Yeah, there seem to have been some genuine improvements to FIFA 15, with the perfect balance of content that should keep any football fan happy for the rest of the season. So I'm giving it 9 as well. Well, we're almost out of time for this week, but first I want to see if I'm right about the answer to your challenge, Darren.
Affirmative. This week, I asked you, who is Phoenix Wright's longtime courtroom rival? And the answer is Miles Edgeworth.
Ah, I knew it. It became a friendly rivalry after a few games, though, didn't it?
Affirmative.
Another fine challenge, Darren. Next week on the show, a brand new adventure puzzle game from Double Fine Productions called Hack and Slash.
Yeah. Oh, computer hacking. Clever. Plus, we're going to see how contagious a train fever can be.
Choo-choo!
Well, Hex, we better get into training for that one.
Affirmative. What platform is it on?
Oh, no, guys. Is it just going to be bad train puns next week?
Oh, don't worry, Hex, we'll cover our tracks. Until next time, Bajo out.
Hex out.
Darren out. Why, Hex? Do you feel that puns derail a conversation?
Oh, you better get a ticket for next week's episode, Hex.
So cheesy.
You better stand behind the yellow line because next week on the help me out, Darren. I'm out of puns.
It'll be an express train to fun.
Yes. Stopping at all stations.
No.
To Funland.